Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Here are some exciting coming attractions from Paramount.
All right, here's a ray of hope, sort of. Opinion.
I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
Sometimes, like, when you're going through it, I feel like, should I even, like, break in? Or...
Oh, please do.
No. I just mean, I don't have anything to add, but I don't want you to feel bad, like I'm, like, being... whatever. I don't know if you expect me to, like, riff, but, like, it's just... sometimes it gets tough, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I guess I just feel like
that shit sucks. Like that's like the biggest thing I have to say about that.
Yeah, me too, really. I mean, I guess I'm just playing like fucking I don't know, reporter. I'm doing cosplay as a journalist. Just passing along the headlines to those who haven't seen them. I don't know. It just it feels necessary to me. I don't really I can't really explain it beyond that. And I understand that it's not like exactly fun topic, but well, that's why
okay.
I try to get through it in a blitzkrieg style fashion, you know, fast.
That's how they did it. I was gonna ask, or I was gonna mention when you were talking about it, it's like there's like headlines and things you want to like do quick, but do they fit or whatever? What would you think? And maybe if anyone's listening to this, they can chime in and see what they say.
Now, sometimes what we need the most is just around the corner.
You could do a supplementary podcast where you just like did headlines really quick by yourself for the stuff that like we never get to. You could like clean up, you know what I mean?
It's true, because
I think that would be a good idea, and I think people would enjoy that. I don't know if you have the time or you want to do it.
I have the time. I've toyed around with that back when the equivalent of Israel stuff was Ukraine stuff. I even made the artwork for a sub podcast within this podcast, and it came up with a name for it and everything, but I just never ended up doing it because I don't know, I just didn't. But
I think it would be good if you did like a headline cleanup podcast where you just like threw out the stuff that you think people should hear about and give your thoughts on it, and you know what I mean? That's me. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I could.
Like I said, other people could chime in. If anyone else listening to this would be interested in that, they can say that they'd be interested.
The other thing I could do this is some let's see how the sausage is made time, but
in a world where two men must record a podcast once a week,
I could also just like refer people to like all those.
One man dare to add a secondary episode recording to the recording schedule.
Sources that I pay attention to that.
He'll broadcast from his space station bunker.
This is the only shit that some of these like Katie Halper's shows, her two shows, like literally all they talk about is Israel stuff.
Encircling the Earth.
Pretty much nothing else. And that's how a lot of like these sort of like left YouTube podcasts or whatever are.
Delivering difficult truths to your ears.
Electric Intifada is good for that.
Fearlessly, he'll brave the cesspit of the internet.
So That's another option, is I could just like make a regular reminder of like
To gather the news that other podcasts are too terrified to face.
hey, read the Gray Zone. Aaron Mate is good about this stuff.
This summer, prepare yourself for the Eschaton Review.
Listen to Bad Hospira. They're certainly probably covering all the same exact shit that I would be.
And now our feature presentation.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Okay, welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast that is known to emit the hazy sound of smeared synth tones and analog decayed production, carried by patient sleepwalking beats and aching with nostalgia while reinventing elements of psychedelia through the deliberate misuse of technology, yet still evocative, mournful, and sample-laden, often sounding as though produced on malfunctioning equipment excavated from the ruins of an early 70s computer lab. It is 9:44 in the morning, goddamn, Saturday, August 31st, that's Korea Standard Time, if you nasty, year of our Lord 2024. Josh here, and over there is Tim. I like everything about culture, Buckner. How's all that culture treating you, Tim? Still vibing on that shit, or what?
Hell yeah, you know it. It's always a pleasure to be on the only podcast. While other podcasts keep comparing Kamala Harris to LBJ's vice president, who wasn't willing to break with his support of the war, I say that Kamala Harris is just like LBJ's vice president because she also likes to hump free, if you feel me. How you doing tonight, Josh?
Doing good. I have not actually heard that. I'm assuming you're not just making that
No,
up.
yeah,
People
everyone
are really
keeps
saying
saying
shit
that.
like that.
Yeah. But
God
Kamala,
damn,
it's just like Hubert Humphrey, where they're saying it as like she needs to not stick with it, right? And she needs to come out and say that she's against, even though, I mean, obviously now it's gone the other way. And she's just said like, no, I'm riding with Biden, baby. We supporting this genocide till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, she finally did a quote unquote unscripted interview, which I didn't watch. I just saw like a clip, but and heard about the fact that it was happening
with Dana Bangers and Mash
Nazi, that fucking Nazi Aryan princess bitch, Dana Bash, and Tim Waltz. Like, what I noticed about it, just like in the shot that I saw, was like, and I'm probably just like reading way too much into it, but they they like physically put her like further back in the shot so she looks like all tiny and like inconsequential. It's weird. Like Tim Waltz is like on the screen left and like way kind of closer to the camera, dominating the frame. I don't know, but anyway. What I was going to say about that is the only clip I saw from the interview was her like quadrupling down on eternal military support to Israel.
Eternal minds on the spotless Palestine. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That is what she is all about.
She's playing 12th dimensional chess though. On Jan 21st. She's going to be like abolish the state of Israel.
Yeah, she's going to say Black Twitter ain't be having no Israel. No, I mean, what's the craziest thing is like for all the warmongering bullshit that she says, the thing that she says that's like the most like insane is the 2-state solution, because that is the like only fucking hardcore dead enders even mention that shit anymore at this point. You know what I mean? That's like you're dug in the idea that like, oh, that's our cover story. We're just always going to say that forever. Because like any reasonable person has accepted like that's not impossible at this point. Imagine trying to do like the 2-state solution, like saying that you were going to do that in America with like slavery, right? Being like, there's going to be one state where black people are in charge. Yeah, right.
And the fact that I don't know how long it's been since any like prominent Israeli politician or like anyone higher up in the government has even given lip service to that idea.
Right.
Like it's like it's a standard policy on, if you go to like the Netanyahu website, which I assume exists, and has
if you're
policies
serving the
on
net,
like,
and if you're
unlike
surfing
Kamala's.
the Netanyahu,
Surfing the Netanyahu, and it's just like we oppose. It's not even. It's we oppose a 2-state solution, and we oppose an any state solution. Yeah. Anything that isn't just us colonizing to the bitter end. But anyway, we'll get into a little more of that.
Netanyahu famously said, "There's no justice; it's just us." You know what I'm talking about.
That's that shit that you like to reference, the like
yeah the like
it's not Hotep's not the people who do that.
No, it's like Rastafari like to do that shit.
Rastafari. Yeah. Like I wish I could remember.
Overstand.
Overstand. Yeah. I love overstand.
The white man in his language is trying to subjugate you. So you say, "Oh, I understand." That puts you underneath them.
I don't understand. I overstand.
I overstand.
I overstand all this shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's that good shit.
But maybe a little digression away from just the straight up politics shit. There are a couple interesting legal happenings going on
that's always
these days.
Fun. I like the law. Who doesn't?
I am the law, as Judge Dredd once said.
What if he was Judge Head and his job was to get his dick sucked and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? See what I'm saying? You get what I'm talking about?
I think Sylvester Stallone would
he'd appreciate
would excel
that.
At that.
He did porno before he was an actor, right? The Italian Stallion.
It's true. It's true. He did like no, it wasn't soft. He did like just straight up porn. Yeah. I don't know why I have it in my head. I think it's from just some other podcast where maybe they're just totally making this shit up. But I also choose to believe it's true that Sylvester Stallone is rumored to have like some sort of like scat fetish.
Okay, all right.
And particularly something to do with he like. This is probably totally all like libelous or whatever.
Nah, it's all true. It's 100% true.
Sylvester Stallone likes to lay on the floor underneath a glass table and have someone just shit on it.
Sure. That one goes around though. They say that about a lot of people.
At least that's what they maintain on the We Hate Movies podcast. That's where that's from. I just remembered.
That's what the fuck, that movie Autofocus. Whoever that was about. Bob Crane, the actor from Hogan's Heroes. Yeah. That's one of his things too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a fan of the glass bottom boat ride, as they call it.
I've never seen autofocus, but it's such a widely referenced thing. Like,
you should watch it.
Like,
it's good.
Yeah, I've heard it's good. But I know about the scene where it's like, I don't know, it's like two guys just like jacking off together.
Sure.
Or something. So like that has now been like shorthanded into doing an autofocus or autofocusing.
Sure.
I feel like Nick Weiger, better bleep that slur.
Yeah.
Mentions that a lot.
Sure.
He's like, I'm not pulling an autofocus with my dad. Shit like that always comes up.
That movie, if you know the background about Willem Dafoe, I'll just say that the finish of that movie makes more sense. But I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that for the people, for the heads who do know, because I don't want to spoil the movie for you.
I know that Willem Dafoe has a gigantic dick.
Sure.
So big, in fact, that on the Lars von Trier film Antichrist, I believe it was, they made him use a prosthetic one because the von Trier was like terrified of the actual one, which he was willing to show. He's shown in other movies, I think. But anyway, it's a fun little bit of film lore for you.
Sure.
I mean, also in that movie, I think the scene where you see it is like so violent. It's like, I don't know what, something happens to it.
Sure.
We'll say no spoilies.
Right.
Anyway, that was a fun digression.
Yeah, been going well.
But so like a brief update, I guess, on the story we've been following since the Olympics in Old Paris, and it's a little segment I like to call "Laws Unfair in Love and War."
Is that supposed to be laissez-faire? Is that the play on that? I'm slightly confused.
No, it's dumber than that even, probably. Okay. Like all's fair in love and war and law. I don't know, whatever.
Sure,
it's about the law. This is our legal corner. We'll call it the legal corner.
I think that our legal corner should be called laissez-unfair, especially if this has to do with France.
That's good. Good point.
Yeah, anyways,
this is the laws unfair in love and war, laissez-unfair edition.
Yes.
All right. Now that we've established the title, so J.K. Rowling, is it rolling or fucking Rowling?
Keep rolling. What? That's it. She's a big fan. It's a nom de plume, and she picked it to name herself after her favorite Limp Bizkit song.
I mean, it matches up.
Yeah.
Like at the time that the Harry Potter books started coming out, it was still Limp Bizkit's America. I believe at that
it's
point.
Always been a Limp Bizkit's America. It just ebbs and flows after the financial crash.
They're touring again. I've noticed, and Fred Durst is like 100% gray all over, big gray beard. It's funny.
That was really smart, dude. Like people talk about this constantly, if you're in the right circles, but like Fred Durst is honestly a marketing genius. Like, dude is just so smart because he skipped the like in between awkward stage of being like, oh, I mean, this sounds crazy. I think maybe to like most just like straight dudes or whatever, but like he was a heartthrob, and then he probably went through the awkward period as he got old, and then he comes back and then he's just like Silver Fox, like, older dad type, and he skipped the middle part because he was like really out of the public limelight. He wasn't super famous at that time, so that's a smart move on his part. I'm gonna say shout out to Fred Durst.
He's making movies, is what I've gathered too. I think they're kind of low budget, whatever.
Sure.
He did some movie with Travolta, I think.
Huh. But did he direct any of the Harry Potter films?
Good way to get us back on track.
Yes.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
Huh.
So J.K. Rowling, she's being sued by the Algerian boxer Iman Khalif, who we talked about. I don't think I need to rehash that whole thing. If you know, you know. But anyway, she's like made her first sort of response to the whole thing since the lawsuit's been put into motion, and It says here on this Newsweek.com article where I get all my news. On Friday, she shared an article by evolutionary biologist Colin Wright on his website, Reality's Last Stand, where he argued Khalif's post-Olympics makeover was nothing but a, quote, hyper-feminizing PR campaign designed to be a, quote, distraction. Because I guess, like, there were just some photos of her, like, not wearing boxing gloves. So it's like, oh, she's just leaning into being a girl, isn't she?
Oh.
She's got some makeup on. Oh, well, how convenient. These people fucking suck, man.
Yeah.
In his blog post, Wright argued that there needed to be transparency about Khalif's gender because, quote, the fairness and safety of women's boxing is at stake. Do you think that this Colin Wright motherfucker gave a flying fuck about women's boxing or women's anything before, like, this, like, trans hysteria? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
People don't give a fuck about women's sports, man. They just don't. I just saw a post, like, I follow, like, Long Beach, you know, good eats in Long Beach or whatever. Check it out. Like, you know, it's part of LA Metropole. It's, you know, it's like a quick, like, 20-minute drive down there, blah, blah, blah. So I follow it to see stuff. They posted something the other day that was like the first women's sports bar in Long Beach, right? Oh man, it's a sports. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, is it? Because, like, there's, like, new lesbian bars are opening. They're like, lesbians are going extinct. We got to open new lesbian bars. Anyways, and then as I read, I realize what they mean is it's going to be a sports bar that only plays women's sports, right? Okay, cool. They say the first one in Southern California and one of 4 in the entire country. There are sports bars every 2 fucking feet in America, but there's only 4 women's sports bars in the entire country now.
I'm pretty sure they're not bouncing women out of those sports bars for being women either if they want to go to them.
Right.
It seems like a little bit of an unnecessary.
Well, it's not for women, it's for women's sports is what I mean.
Oh.
The bar is going to exclusively play women's sports. Yeah, this is how much people care about women's sports. There's 4 women's sports bars in the world. Only 4 of them, folks.
I wonder if the people that are opening these are like really into the anti-trans shit, and that's like the reason.
Oh, that'd be funny.
It is to like show that
I'll
they're
do
really
research.
committed. They're really committed to the bit.
Yeah,
you know, they're like, no, I really care about this stuff. but like inside, they're just seething as they're watching like women's basketball and shit. They're like, God damn it, they can't jump as high. What the fuck?
God, this sucks. But I'll do reconnaissance and I'll report back what the vibe is at the women's sports bar. All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. The article kind of continues in that vein, in that main vein.
Sure. Speaking of veins. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just, you know, rolling is, the other thing about it, the whole deal is that, so she posted this shit, but before she posted that, she went back and like deleted a bunch of her tweets that she'd put out during the Olympics.
Makes them
just
disappear.
Like being a hateful bitch. Yeah, of course. Like that's what's so funny when people do that shit. Like, especially it's like you're a celebrity. Like even when regular people do it, it's like we can still find your shit. Like almost certainly, like everything is fucking backed up on the internet.
When she's in court, do you think J.K. Rowling is going to say, "I'm a celebrity, get me out of here"? Huh? You think she's going to?
I hope so.
Yeah.
And she, I don't know, flies off on a broom or whatever the fuck happens in Harry Potter. So there's that one, and then like next up in the whatever I called it. Now I just keep hearing the phrase "get me out of here" in my head. Law is unfair in Love and War. In Detroit, a judge. I'll just read the headline here. Detroit judge forces teen who fell asleep on a field trip into handcuffs, threatened jail. So this kind of was a little bit of a viral story. And I mean, the headline basically sums it up. What happened? I mean, this girl fell asleep and this judge wanted to like he basically just like defended his actions too, as like, I wasn't punishing her, I was just trying to have like it was a teachable moment. It's like then after the fact, her mother came out and explained why the daughter was like so tired. And in the headline of this, it's a teen handcuffed after sleeping in Detroit court, tired due to no permanent home, a mom says.
Huh?
My daughter is hurt. She is feeling scared. She didn't want to go to work. She feels like as if her peers went against her. She was real nervous and intimidated. I mean, I guess this is in response to being handcuffed and threatened with jail time for falling asleep.
I guess that makes sense.
But she goes on to say, we have to bounce around currently because we don't have a permanent address. And so that particular night, we got in kind of late. And usually when she goes to work, she's up and planting trees or being active. So it's just like double fuck you to this judge, you know? Right. Like even if she was like just like some spoiled brat who's like, you know, whatever, like being disrespectful by falling asleep. I don't think the adult in the room move is to be like, bailiff, cuff this bitch.
Yeah.
Like, it's also, she's 15 years old. It's insane. But anyway, this judge has, he hasn't been fired necessarily. I think it was something more like, I'm trying to find the exact wording. He's been temporarily removed from docket, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And the girl and mom are suing over this as well. And let's hope they win. I'm all for that. It's lawfare. Have you noticed this? This is like maybe I'm like late to the party, but like conservatives like really loving throwing the word lawfare around.
Yeah.
And like it's like in I guess it's a lot of it is like in explaining what the deep state is doing to Trump.
Yeah.
Using lawfare.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like it's another one of these things that like got adopted by the right from the left, because I feel like the left was using it first, and then, I mean, I shouldn't even say the left really, but you know what I mean. Democrats.
Libs.
They were saying lawfare first, and then, you know, the Republicans, they just take everything from, that's what they do. I mean, obviously it's in the whole like reactionary politics, right? But like that's their natural thing. They like, just like fake news, lawfare, all of it. Like it starts on the left, and then the right is like, actually that's ours, and we're gonna twist it to mean what we want it to mean. Fuck you guys.
It's like white people taking jazz and rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the same.
It's exactly the same, yeah. And barbecue.
Also, an update on a previously discussed thing: that whole Disney kerfluffle.
Okay.
Where Disney was like going hard against the guy who was suing them for $50,000 because their food killed his wife. Summarize it quickly. I guess they dropped their like countersuit, or like they're not going to fight it in court, is what I've gathered. I don't know if that necessarily means they're going to. I mean, I guess that means by default that they will pay the $50,000, I guess. But they the phrasing of it was interesting. Disney has decided to waive its right to arbitration and allow the matter to proceed in court for the reason. Oh, so they're just gonna go ahead with it in like a normal lawsuit kind of way, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, in the recent wrongful death lawsuit where they attempted to use a widower's Disney Plus subscription to arbitrate. Quote, at Disney, we strive to put humanity above all other considerations.
Then why? Sure.
And on r/late stage capitalism, this was entitled, "You know shit looks bad when you got to acknowledge your commitment to humanity." I thought that was
true.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So that's the law corner. Is anything happening in U.S. politics these days? Let's see. I think some coconut-pilled people are kind of losing their minds, or to quote another Reddit post title here, the liberals are really starting to fucking schizo out, huh? And this was in response to, oh God, hang on. It's the words are so small on my screen, I can't fucking even read this thing. Oh, there we go. Okay. So someone just wrote the following. It's a little long, but it's kind of worth, I think, hearing out. This is sort of in the same line as like those posts people made like on the Biden inauguration day. All those like gross like sex fantasy posts about sure. I wish I could have dinner parties with Mayor Pete and shit and all that kind of shit. Yeah. Or like the really gross ones about like Biden is gonna fuck Jill until his like ankles are fucking sore or whatever. Calves cramp, right? You got it. You remember.
I mean, that's that's a standard thing, you know.
Yeah, but it was like I feel like that particular phrase was like the part that people took away from those posts the most. Maybe the one I took away the most though was I wish I had it right in front of me. It has been brought up on the podcast, you know, almost 4 years ago now. But it's like describing like frothy jizz or something. It was so gross.
I know that we all knew they slept in separate bedrooms, but just hearing it confirm that Melania had a separate bedroom from Spanky is freaking hilarious. The Bidens will, of course, raw dog like wild animals while watching Wolf Blitzer. Nothing but curled toes and cramped calves, and gallons of frothy spunk. Because, you know, love.
But anyway, this sort of reminds me of those, minus the like overt sexualizing of the Democrats, but it's just as much like in like fantasy land.
Sure.
So the year is 2051, and things have worked out pretty well. The USA is still around. It is still the world superpower and largest economy. China never surpassed the US because of declining birth rates. The USA has even added a few states, DC and Puerto Rico, and put astronauts on Mars. The world got its act together on climate change. This is where it gets real fucking fantasy-like. The climate is warmer, and that causes issues, but the worst was avoided. Global ecosystems are recovering. World War III never happened. Civil War II never happened.
Nice.
AI didn't destroy the world. Neither cyberpunk dystopia nor dictatorship ever took over. Billions of people have escaped absolute poverty, and most nations are functioning liberal democracies. I should say before reading all this is what someone's fantasizing, like, if Kamala Harris wins, this is where things are going to go.
Right. It's also like, most countries aren't functioning liberal democracies right now. Like...
Right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Little bit more. Over the decades, American society has managed to address many of its problems. Housing, healthcare, and college are affordable or free.
Sure. Okay.
I love the fucking dodge that Democrats do. Like, when's the last time you heard a Democrat use the actual term Medicare for all? Like, even Bernie Sanders, I don't think, says it anymore. He just says, like, access to health. He's doing the same shit. Mm-hmm. It's just like, people should have access. It's like, yeah, you legally are not barred from accessing healthcare, but you are monetarily barred from being able to survive if you need certain healthcare.
Yeah, I mean the Democrats won't even say Medicare for all anymore, and we've got fucking Trump out here giving off IVF for all. Jesus.
Living standards and birth rates have risen. Crime, pollution, and homelessness are down. There hasn't even been a school shooting since the 2030s because of mental health care improvements and minor gun regulation changes. In their fantasies, they can't even go beyond something like than minor gun regulation changes because they were like, you know, let's not go crazy here, and we got to appeal to the moderates or whatever. We got to tack towards the center, even in our fantasies. Even in their fantasy, they can't just say, we have universal health care now. No, it's affordable.
Yeah. Access.
U.S. citizens get a UBI. Oh, they throw in UBI here.
Might as well.
Oh my God, I didn't even read this part, I think, before because it's so funny. I feel like I'm seeing it for the first time. U.S. citizens get a UBI of $1,776 a month. 1776, baby.
Oh,
Alex
hell yeah.
Jones' favorite number.
Hell yeah. That's right.
Funded by an AI tax-based sovereign wealth fund. What the fuck?
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's what they do, like, in the... Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, Slavic nations do that, but whatever.
UBI?
That's based off of a whatever that fucking phrase, I forgot what it... how you say
AI
it.
tax-based sovereign wealth.
Yeah, the sovereign wealth fund. Yeah, that's how they fund the universal basic income there. But this is supposed to be 2050?
2051 precisely.
And it's $1,000, like it's $1,700 a month. How is that going? That's not enough to do anything. Especially by that point with inflation, that's going to be fucking absolutely worthless. Anyways.
That's going to be pennies. Like, even now it would be...
You can't live off of that now. Or at least,
you can't pay... Average rent is more than that, I think.
Very
maybe,
cool.
Or
very
around
cool.
that.
And like, I love that. It's like universal basic income. This is enough money to where you can starve to death. Like, fucking hell. Cool.
But don't worry about that, because the culture war has cooled off.
Hell yeah, it has.
No one has said the word woke outside of a history class since 2029. I love how specific they are with these years. Racism, sexism, and homophobia are less common than ever. People still fight about politics, but much less than they did in 2024. Final bullet point. You are enjoying life with your spouse and kids. You have a good paying job and own a big house within walking distance of both restaurants and hiking trails. You're on track for retirement. Life isn't perfect, but it's good. You're going to take the hyper high-speed train down to Florida for a month-long vacation soon.
Fuck off.
Oh, man. And I know this is just a fucking, like, thing on Reddit or whatever, but, like, I feel like it is sort of... It sort of captures what I perceive the energy to be of the politics of joy right now.
Sure.
So that's why I felt like it was worth bringing up.
I like... This is an AI picture that they put, the people? You think?
I clicked it away. Maybe. There's a good chance of it.
It's gotta be, man, because these people look fucked up.
Do you see any extra fingers?
It's hard to tell. Anyway, those people look fucked up, so that's why I just was like, I don't think so.
Yeah. The presumably the wife in the photo. Yeah, they do. Their faces are weird. You're totally right.
Yeah. The wife looks like a baby's, like a child's face on an adult woman.
This is kind of mean, but she kind of looks like the weird looking girl in Hereditary.
Yes. Yeah.
To paint a picture for the listener.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, it's like supposed to be this like idyllic looking like nuclear family, like, you know, 2.5 kids and a dog and a nice suburban house behind them.
Right. And the guy's got little gauges.
But it's I hope it's AI. I'll put it that way.
The husband has little gauges, like it's like, oh, he used to be into hardcore or emo or something.
Right.
But now he's settled down with his ugly wife.
It's all part of the utopian ideal too, right? Yeah. It's like we all grew up and moved on.
Yeah. He used to be into that stuff, but like, you know, and he's just like, you know, I could do that thing where they put a stitch in it, but it looks weird. It looks like a butthole. I'm just going to get like, I'm just going to keep subtle black gauges in for the rest of my life. And whatever. If people ask, I'm going to be like, yeah, I used to like My Chemical Romance or whatever. Fucking, yeah, I used to be into fucking Under Oath.
It's my tribute to President Fred Durst, who is president now in 2051. He's only 100 years old.
Yeah, but you know, science has made things different. You know, I don't think I'm gonna say I don't think Fred Durst does anything. He doesn't have ear piercings, nothing. He's got tattoos.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a callback.
No, I get it. Listen, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but it just crossed my mind. I'm like, I think he does tattoos, but he doesn't do piercings.
Good for him, I guess. What was I going to say? It's funny that it's like supposed to be like this like liberal fantasy, but then it's like they mention the culture wars cooling down, and they're like, nobody says woke anymore, instead of being like, nobody transvestigates anymore. Like that's what I would
that's
put
what
if
it
I was
should.
writing
Yeah,
a liberal fantasy.
Yes, but see,
they don't mention any of that shit. I mean, I guess they do say like they're like, oh, people are nicer to the gays now than they used to be or whatever,
right.
But that doesn't still really cover it. I'd be writing shit like, the entire staff of the Daily Wire was summarily executed,
right.
But it's like, that's like not the, that's the
right.
I guess that's the pro gulag simmering within me, whatever. And it's not the lib way of turning the other cheek. So
it's like
I guess I shouldn't expect them to write shit like that.
Ben Shapiro and Brett Cooper both got sex changes and swapped everything. They became
that's
each other.
Better. You don't have to kill anybody, and that's way funnier. Yes, you got it. You nailed it.
Speaking of nailing it, I would. Anyways, do you think that like transvestigation is too far down the rabbit hole? Like, do you think normies know about that though?
I feel like they have. Like, I guess there's like there's like different substrates of norminess. Right?
Sure.
I feel like on a certain level of normie, they have to. Like, if you're on Twitter and you follow like even like the most like milquetoast liberal news sources, like they're talking about like TERFs and like there's a reason why like they're so conflicted about loving Harry Potter, right? It's because they figured out who, like J.K. Rowling dropped the mask or whatever. They're like, oh god, my entire worldview is based on Harry Potter. Now I don't know what to do because I've been told that I have to like trans people now, even though like 5 years ago they're probably making like chicks with dick jokes or whatever.
Sure,
I mean
sure.
that's kind of a tired point that people have pointed out.
Right.
Where, like
that.
Jon Stewart was making those kind of jokes like not so long ago or whatever. But
Jon Stewart. Now that reminds me, because you know what a Jon Stewart would be like the person who hangs out in the restroom, right? They'd be checking to make sure if the chicks have dicks or not, if they're allowed in there. Doesn't that make sense? You get what I'm talking about?
You mean like the bathroom attendant who gives like the breath mints and shit in the fancy bathroom?
That would be a Jon Stewart. They're in the John.
That would be that would be the undercover job of a good transvestigator. Right?
Yeah. That was this is funny because I said it and then I was like, I'm gonna just leave it. That was the thing that I had thought about, that I told you I had one of my classic Tim ideas. About the future of fucked up, and you mentioned woke there. I was trying to think of a way to talk about like Kamala's wall being like the woke wall, and then maybe mix it into like sugar walls or wonder wall, like all these Mexicans are going to get to taste Kamala's sugar walls.
It's going to be a wailing wall in tribute to our gods and masters of Israel.
Well, no, but it's a wailing wall, but it's not like in Israel or whatever. It's like the Wailers, like Bob Marley and the Wailers. So that's why she calls it the Wailing Wall, because she's really into reggae and hip hop, right? Smoking weed.
Yes, and then RFK can go there and pay tribute by putting a whale's head on top of the wall.
but my like I said, my classic Tim idea
let's hear
has to do with Jon Stewart's, which was I was thinking about wokeness run amok. And how in 2051, right, in the future that person predicted, what we're going to have is, okay, so there's like, as far as I know, there's like one person, maybe there's been more, who officially, like on US documents has themselves listed as like intersex. They have an X as their gender. They're not a male or female. I know that there's at least one person, maybe there's more. Over time, you would assume that becomes more normalized and we have more non-binary people who are officially like sanctioned as non-binary, respected by the government, right? Would that stand to reason that would happen over time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So what I thought of was the idea that corporations, companies, businesses, because they're, the capitalists always have to find the way to exploit, the world and everything to make the most profit, to make things easier, that they would eventually, if you had a class of people who were designated intersex, they would be able to do jobs like bathroom attendants or like custodians who clean restrooms, where they would be able to, legally do either restroom without there being any issue. So you would have the ability to have like one employee who is able to do everything across the board, and you don't have to worry. Because you know how like the bathrooms, they'll be like, oh, we have to close the bathroom because we only have a female like who can clean the restroom, so men can't use it, or the other way around. We only have a man who's cleaning restrooms, so women can't use it. So they would have just like non-binary bathroom attendants, non-binary cleaning people, and that would be like the future that capitalists would have, is that they would literally, they'd be like, oh, we're sorry, like they would discriminate. They'd be like, we're going to hire you for this position, but you have to be non-binary. They would like not hire men. You would have to be legally defined as a non-binary person to get these jobs. And I was just seeing like, that's the like, not to do like the, oh, here's the slippery slope, we shouldn't do woke or whatever, but just like looking at like down the line, like, you can see where the vision is, right? The way that capitalists would be like to exploit this. It's like, oh, a non-binary person would be able to do either, and you can't fucking say anything. And it just makes them just an easier cog to fit into the machine. And just the way that they're able to take advantage of it. You wouldn't need to hire like, oh, 2 people to do this, or blah, blah, or shut down, whatever, do this and that. You can have one person, you know, who can do both across the board whenever they need to.
It's going to cut down on costs, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. We're
Right.
We're going to be raking in an extra like $7 billion a year if we get some of these neither nors to work for the team.
Yeah, we need to get as many of these non-binaries as we can. No, but you
and in 2051 we can get allyships tax credit status.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you get credit. Oh, we look at how much percentage of our force is DEI. They're non-binary, right? Yeah, like it's just, you can see the way that they would take advantage of something like that if you have like this prescripted in-between status.
It's like one of those things where like it's gross because you know that like the motives are not pure, but like the outcomes are still like ultimately like in the plus column. Not even like your hypothetical, like
Sure.
even go like a more like standard one, like how like Pride Month has been just like super commercialized in like gross, stupid ways, like the Burger King top and bottom bun burgers or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that's just the one example I think of. But it's also just kind of like, well, it's better than them being bigots, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. It's like it's a weird little like kind of conflict in my mind, sort of. But also it's like clear. Like their motives suck. It's like, I mean, it's exactly what I just said to begin my point. Like their motives suck, but even doing something right for the wrong reasons is better than not, I guess.
it can be, sure, you know, but yeah.
It's not ideal.
No,
but,
it's definitely not ideal, but you know, you would hope that we could do things for the right reasons. But unfortunately, if you've been paying attention for long enough, you realize that never fucking happens.
Yeah. So just as Burger King worked tirelessly in the marketing department to make those top and bottom gay burgers or whatever, the phrase that was tossed around by both Kamala and AOC and I'm sure many others parroted after, but working tirelessly for a ceasefire, right? That's what they're doing. That's what Kamala and Biden are doing. Joe Biden, who every week when we do this show and I have to think about Joe Biden again, I'm like, holy shit, he's still... It's so weird how he just seems to have... He just doesn't seem to exist anymore. It's really odd. But it's because we're moving on.
Right,
we're moving on.
We're done.
We've got a coconut on the run.
Not left, not right, forward, right? You know?
Yeah, I love how they used forward. Like, it just immediately makes me think of the fucking failed Forward Party,
Right.
the Andrew Yang third party. Yeah. But so the working tirelessly for a ceasefire is obviously a joke, and I could use like so many examples. But here's one. Pretty soon after that speech was made, and people keep using that phrase, U.S. completes 500th air delivery of weapons to Israel since October 7th.
Listen, I would be all for the U.S. delivering weapons to Israel 500 times, just not the way they've been doing it. You know what I mean? I'm saying dropping them on them.
Yeah. Or, you know, if they did it and they just changed the tone of the airplanes as they flew, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if the inflection of the way the airplanes flew in to Tel Aviv was a little different, then it would be fine, right? Then the weapons are blessed by the empathy of Coconut and Walls. What were we calling it? Walznutz?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's
the Walznutz administration. And then on top of that, like, I mean, I think probably most of the people who listen to this podcast are definitely aware that Netanyahu and Biden are just sabotaging if there's any sort of peace talks or ceasefire negotiations going on. They're just being purposely sabotaged. But they keep saying that, hey, we've got one on the table. Ball's in Hamas's court now, man. We're just waiting on them. And it's just like a complete lie and a joke. Right. Like they literally, they assassinated the fucking lead negotiator happily. And like the U.S. reported on it happily.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, Israel just like went into another country, Iran, and fucking took this guy out. And it's like, that's the guy. That's the guy you're ceaselessly negotiating with. Yeah. And yeah,
well, that negotiation has ceased.
It has ceased.
It has. Exactly. Some would say it has deceased. You feel me?
Good.
Yes. Get what I'm talking about?
Good point. And now the new person who's taken over that role, they're like, we are ceaselessly hunting his ass. We're like, all, the White House is just cheering that on. They're like, we got to get him. And it's like, that's the negotiator.
That's the fucking guy.
You're doing it again.
Yeah, but
like out of one side of their mouth, they're like, we're just waiting on the fucking evil terrorists to, play ball here. And, but we got to get this guy. We got to drop one of those sweet, non-explosive missiles, the R9X, where like 6 giant fucking katana blades pop out of it, and it just like turns whatever it hits into fucking mincemeat. We got to drop one of those on this guy's head.
That sounds pretty beast. I like that. I like whatever thing that is you're talking about. They should definitely do that.
I keep getting a fucking clip of this fucking annoying YouTube guy, Chris Williamson. I think I've talked about him briefly, maybe in the Manosphere episode. He's just like a British like wannabe Rogan guy, but it's like a clip of him on Rogan talking almost with like erotic like rapture about that fucking weapon and how they used it to like shred I don't know, one like a fucking Al-Qaeda leader or something. Like every morning he would step out on his porch to drink coffee, and then one morning they just dropped one of these awesome like blender fucking missiles on his ass. And like Rogan's just like, whoa, bro, yeah, wow.
They should call
awesome.
it like
I love our killing machine government. It rules.
They should call it like the circumciser or something, because it's got the circle blades and all that.
It would be appropriate for the folks where we blended some folks. We gave the blending missiles to Israel, and they blended some babies, folks. Yeah.
Not blended like myself and Michelle's beautiful young blended children. No, a different type of blending. Yeah.
So yeah, the ceasefire negotiations are a joke.
They're going good.
Yeah, they're going really well. Obviously Netanyahu wants them to happen, because he really wants to like get those trials going, those corruption trials started back up again. He's eager. He's racing towards them. So, as soon as we can end this horrible tragedy, this natural disaster that keeps happening over and over to Palestinians, just over and over again. Who's doing it? We'll never know. It's one of those like theological things we have to like grapple with. Like, if God is all powerful, why does he allow bad things like hurricanes and tsunamis to happen? Anyway, so I mean, what's next here?
That's a good question. A lot of people have been asking that. What is next?
What comes after? What comes after the K-Hive takes over? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It won't be Medicare for all, as we've touched on in this episode.
Nobody cares about that shit.
And
it's over.
It won't be. it won't be stopping. It won't be a weapons embargo, that's for sure. But got this neat little graph here from our buddy Push Biden Left. I mean, he didn't make the graph. He just posted it, obviously. He asks, morality aside, why is Kamala flagrantly ignoring the will of 8 in 10 of her own voters? And he's referring to nearly 8 in 10 Democrats. This is like registered Democrats, not just like, I identify as liberal to people, like just honest to goodness Democrats.
Middle of the damn road demo rats.
They say the U.S. should not send weapons to Israel. 8 out of 10, 77%. So it's but we're restoring democracy. We're protecting the sacred institution of democracy,
right? By
pushing Kamala Harris into the position of God Emperor because she hasn't got any fucking votes. But whatever. Maybe I'm harping on that too much. No, I don't think I am. I think it's worth pointing out when people are going to keep fucking saying
she ain't got no votes, folks,
again that this is about democracy. Democracy dies of darkness. Democracy is on the ballot. It's like we're doing the most undemocratic shit. And even if whatever.
No.
I mean, I was just gonna say even if there had been like a normal primary situation, there's still not an actual democracy in this country. And there never has been. So that's interesting. People, public servants not serving the public. What's up with that? Oh, you brought up the woke border wall, so I guess you mentioned that again. But I mean, just to
walnuts.
Just to throw in a little factual basis, I guess, behind what you were saying, Kamala Harris pledges to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the wall along the southern border, a project she once opposed and called un-American during the Trump administration. And yeah, there's you can find. The actual tweet she wrote was, I'll say it again, Trump's border wall is a waste of money, and we should be using that money for infrastructure, Medicare for all, or tuition-free college. Why or?
No.
Anyway.
Or what we could be using that money for, here's the thing, where that money would be going if it wasn't going there, is to bomb more Palestinian babies. Because that's where all of our fucking money goes. Like... None of this shit is fucking.
Or to make.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, or to make sure, like, fight till the last Ukrainian life, as well. A lot of billions going there.
That's where all of our fucking money goes is defense. Like to pretend, if only we cut this project that I find is like not suitably woke enough that we're fucking paying for, like the border wall. Oh no, if we had that, then we could do this good shit. On top of the fact, like when you look at the fact that 10, 20, 30 times what we could ever need to feed every fucking homeless person in the entire planet, let alone America, is going like daily, weekly, monthly, momently to just fucking murdering people. I guess that's one way to end hunger, right? It's hard for a person to be hungry when they're dead. Jesus fucking Christ. Like these things, and like you said, that's what really set me off. If we did this, we could do all of these things. If we did, we could do this, we could do that. It's like, if we didn't spend all of our money on fucking defense, it's laughable to call it defense. It's like, there's this fucking really sweet little book that I bought that was like, why don't we wage peace? It was written by some fucking teacher. Why isn't there a Department of Peace in America? It's like, we have like a Department of Defense, and it's really just we're not defending anything. We're just murdering. We're just fucking destroying and murdering, and we're wasting all of our fucking money on it. And people are starving to death, and they're hooked on smack. And I sent you the link with the like Cirque Via thing with the getting the homeless out of America or out of Los Angeles. It's like, it's fucking brutal out here, man. It's fucking disgusting. Sorry.
No, it's in church. The other thing, I mean, and if you want to like go off on some modern monetary theory, something I probably haven't brought up forever, but I'm kind of partial to.
Okay.
You could even say, because we have fiat currency, we just print money. We do. That's what we do.
Yeah, we just
that's
make
how
it
we
up.
pay for all of this shit. It's all just digits on a fucking computer.
It's like, whose line is it anyways? The points are made up, man.
Yeah. You could even be like, well, okay, keep your fucking terror campaigns around the world and your 800 plus military bases that we know of that are like surrounding all of our fucking like enemies and whatever. Why is China so close to all our military bases? The classic.
Yeah.
Iran too. Why do they keep bumping into our military bases that we put right next to them? You could say keep all of that stuff. I love it. I love killing foreigners. It's great. We could still pay for Medicare for all and tuition-free college and trains that aren't embarrassing on the world stage. You could still do it, but anyway.
No, yeah. 100 completely.
So of course, I would prefer if the defense budget wasn't like getting so near $1 trillion a year, and it's so complicated and fucked up that it literally is unauditable. Like, they've tried to audit the Department of Defense like multiple times. They've I forget what it was. We talked about it on the show a million years ago, but it was like thousands of auditors came in all at once to try to like get a handle on the fucking books. And we're just like, they had to just give up and walk away. They're like, this is impossible to make sense of. And it's because it's so fucking corrupt, and it's just like money being passed around to all these different contracted out companies, and people are just fucking skimming off the top and all kinds of fucking corrupt shit. But anyway, I digress. I have digressed.
They should get the that was a good one. They should get whoever wrote that everywhere all the time at once person. They could figure it out. If you could follow that movie, then you could really, I'm doing grandpa jokes.
Get Charlie Kaufman on the scene. He'll parse all those layers of meta narrative for you at the DoD. I don't know. Maybe this is the last thing to say about just the coconut campaign, but there was a headline: more than 200 former Bush, McCain, and Romney staffers endorse Harris, and the libs think this is awesome.
Huh?
It's like she's undividing our divided nation. It's like, no, this is a bad thing. Don't you see that this is bad? This doesn't augur well for the future of how she's going to govern. If these people are the counter argument would just be well, it just shows how bad Trump is, that even Republicans are going to vote for Harris now. Or you could think of it the other way, which is she's so much like a fucking Republican that people are totally fine with her being in power that are, Republicans. But anyway, it was just there was a joint open letter with these 200, staffers that worked for those three knuckleheads, we'll call them, lovable lads. George scamps. W. Mitt Romney, fucking John McCain, three of the most evil people on the planet Earth and throughout human history.
They're like the Three Stooges. It's just so funny the way they bumble around.
I will never not be pissed off at the fucking rehabilitation of George W. Bush. That picture of him with fucking Michelle Obama,
right? Big Mike
makes me want to throw up every time I see it. Big Mike, yeah.
Shout out to Big Mike. Yeah.
Trying to get the non-binary
pool attendant.
Attendant on that.
The Tinks non-binary pool attendant to check to make sure that Big Mike is in the right bathroom or changing room, locker room at the public pool. Okay, sorry, I feel like we're changing gears. Can we get into RFK Jr.'s daughter recounts insane whale head story, but not really about that, but about RFK Jr.'s daughter, Kick Kennedy? What do you think?
Yeah, sure. For you?
All right.
Yeah, so I definitely.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Let's do that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so story comes out. I think, was it written? I don't even know where it's from. I just know that it's a story that's from RFK's daughter, Kick Kennedy. Recounts the time.
Axios.
But was she the author of the article? That's more.
No, it was an interview.
Okay.
It was an interview.
Okay. Axios interviews Kick Kennedy about this, and she talks about this one crazy time that her dad, RFK, decided to abscond with the head of a beached whale. Because this is, I mean, when do you have another chance? During the article,
I wish we could get a species on that, because they're whales of many sizes.
It vacillates.
I like to imagine it. I like to imagine it's a blue whale's head.
Right. Yeah, it vacillates.
The largest
greatly.
Animal that's ever existed on the planet.
And he's chainsawed it off and duct taped it to the fucking hood of his, minivan or whatever. Yeah, the whole thing is insane. But here's the part: is like it's this weird okay, RFK is doing this presidential bid that's just absolutely fucking flailing and dying. The Kennedys brand as a whole, because wasn't there's another fucking Kennedy that was trying to buddy up to the Texas branch. I wish I could remember who it was. He was in line to be the next kind of the next face of the Kennedy family, but he kind of buddied up with Jeb and the Texas side of Republicans, and then that all fucking went foobar because of Trump. You know who I'm talking about? I think it's Walker or Herbert Walker Bush. And I just realized that I'm talking about a Bush, not a Kennedy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you talking about the fucking weird pale redhead Kennedy?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy sucked. I can't remember his name either, but he was the worst.
They've been trying to launch the new Kennedys for a while to be we're still relevant. The Kennedys are still, it's American Babylon or whatever the fuck they call it.
Camelot. But I like Babylon.
American Babylon makes more sense.
It was Joe Kennedy the Third. By the way.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. I knew it was something like that where it was okay. Anyways, so they've been trying to keep it relevant, and now that RFK is flailing, they're fuck, throw out the daughter. She's hot or whatever, right? And so she's
a dime piece, as I like to say.
You get this story out, and then it feels concurrently we get, Ben Affleck is getting divorced because he's secretly dating fucking Kit Kennedy. It's who is this bitch? I've never heard of her before, and now she's fucking just the main du jour of the week. She's the fucking it girl out of nowhere. It feels so goddamn orchestrated. So that was why I wanted to get into that. Did you notice this too? That it feels out of nowhere I'm supposed to just accept that a person can be named Kick? That's number one. She's on my shit list because that's not a fucking human. That's not a human person's name.
To be it doesn't really make it better. But when I looked her up, it's like a tribute to it was an old timey nickname that probably made sense in the 1920s or whatever. And I think it's her,
Skip or whatever.
It's her great grandma was named something Kick Kennedy, and they just passed it on to her. And that's not even real. I don't think that's even her legal name. I think her legal name is something else. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a weird fucking name. Of course, that was the first thing I noticed. Besides her being kind of good, pretty good looking or whatever. Yeah. We'd be remiss not to actually read the quote. I mean, I got so excited about this story when I first saw it, and of course, fucking Trapo Trap House had to talk about it before we got a chance to record. But whatever, I don't give a shit. She said. Hang on, where is it? So yeah, he cut off the head of a dead whale they found, and she was telling this story to be it's a cute, funny thing about my dad. What a kind of wacky guy. So she said, every time we accelerated on the highway, whale juice would pour into the windows of the car. So some people talking about this online, dude. They're why the fucking windows rolled down? You can't can a Kennedy not afford an air conditioned car? Some of this shit doesn't add up. But anyway,
no. The whale juice. Sorry, the whale juice is leaking in because they bungee corded the head to the top, and then the bungee cords
have the windows cracked slightly.
Yes, so that was yes.
Okay,
got it. Okay.
All right. I'm glad we worked out the logistics of this thing.
I was thinking about it because when I heard the story, I was okay, I have the same thought. Why would the whale juice be leaking in? And I was oh yes, because they bungee corded it around, so it goes around the hood. Yes.
She uses the word pour, so it's I'm imagining large volumes of quote unquote whale juice. So anyway, she says whale juice would pour into the windows of the car, and it was the rankest thing on the planet. We all had plastic bags over our heads with the mouth holes cut out. So then whale juice is just getting into your mouth. I don't know. And People on the highway were giving us the finger, but that was just normal day-to-day stuff for us. Oh, how cute and whimsical. And of course, this is all in the context of like RFK's dead bear story, the fucking eating a dog thing, him having a worm in his brain. It's just like the hits just keep coming. The animal related hits just keep coming. I wouldn't be surprised if more weird stories like this come out later. And he's going to be relevant because people are like genuinely urging Donald Trump to replace fucking Jizz Dance Vance with RFK, who I think we talked about last week is endorsed Trump, and Jimmy Dore is like jizzing his pants over this thing because he's like, "Can you believe this? Republicans are cheering for a guy who's saying we got to go after corporations. Oh wow, this is like a new era has dawned." Right. Fucking morons everywhere, and like. His voice is so unpleasant. I don't know how anyone would want him to be like in any public position of any kind. Like even being a celebrity who gets interviewed, like he should be barred from all of it. I thought about it. I was like, if someone that I really liked, like whose like politics so totally lined up with, if Ralph Nader sounded like RFK, I would want Ralph Nader to never speak. Yeah, I would want to never hear him speak at least. It's so hard to listen to. I can't do it for more than like a minute.
I agree. It's like, yeah, I 100% agree with you. It would be like, can we get somebody else to do it? Can someone else talk for you?
And a sort of follow up to the whale head beheading, an environmental group is calling for so it's not actually happening, but they're calling for an investigation of RFK. I mean, it's not going to happen because it's just like so impossible to prove anything at this point. But they said, where is it? And that's the other funny thing is I only found this out recently. RFK's whole thing was he was like an environmentalist lawyer. Like that was his main gig for a long time. So he's supposed to be some like big environmentalist, but he's like breaking these like it's illegal to to collect the body parts of animals that are on like, you know, certain endangered species lists or whatever. Anyway, but I don't need to find the exact like quote or whatever from this agency, but they basically said that like what he allegedly did is illegal, and if we could prove it, we could charge him with this, that, and the other.
You could pry this whale head out of my cold, dead hands, is what RFK Jr. said. Which also, speaking of whale head,
me and my brain worm will always cherish the memories of beheading that whale. So,
well, speaking of whale head, I'm sure that would get a 10 on Judge Head's scale. He's given that. If you get in that whale head.
They said that Kennedy should, at minimum, surrender any and all illegally obtained wildlife that he continues to possess. It'd be funny if there was just like a raid on his like compound or something, and they found like just like this grotesque collection of animal parts.
Animal parts. The change was real sharp. Second change at the shop, there's a discount.
I mean, that would be awful. I don't want that to be real. Speaking of animal parts, Steve Bannon. This story is one we can't bypass, I feel like. Oh, sorry. Did you want to? Was there more to get into about?
No.
Kennedy?
That was it.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. You didn't. Did you hear the stuff about like Ben Affleck and the divorce and all that? I know this is a little bit.
Yeah, I know he's in the midst of divorcing J-Lo,
right?
And that he's been seen canoodling with Kick Kennedy.
Yeah. And just the idea that she's like being launched as this fucking, they're trying to make her a fucking thing with this, man. That's like very clear. There's some like, am I wrong? Do you see this? Do you see what I'm talking about? Like she's having a big news cycle.
I'm sure but it's like, it's such a weird way to try to make RFK look more relatable. It's like the opposite.
My point is that it's not about RFK. It's about the Kennedy name. It's about transitioning. Like, RFK is a failed Kennedy name, but we got to keep the Kennedy brand out there. Okay, fuck it. RFK.
So we're gonna put this hot piece of ass out there.
Yes, exactly. That's it. They're like
telling weird, crazy stories about her dad.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
They're trying to do serious. They were trying to go like, okay, let's keep it political. The RFK name will be out there still as like a sensible, serious political brand. And then they're like, fuck. Why did we pick this guy? He's an idiot. He's the worst. He's married to a celebrity, so like we thought he would be the best of both worlds, but he's fucking terrible. Okay, fuck it. We don't have to keep it that serious. We can do something that's a little bit lighter, and it's just like celebrity, but just to keep that Kennedy name out there. You know what I mean? They just don't want the Kennedy name to die, is basically the idea.
The timing is totally matches up with what you're saying, too, because it was literally like, I can't say for sure. I'm not going to like track down the dates right now, but it must have been like just a day or two. Maybe it'd be funny if it was the same day that he endorsed Trump that story just came out, but it might as well have been.
And then obviously you could pivot into some real deep fucking connecting the dots, like, you know, Crazy Days and Nights shit, where you look at like Ben Affleck and like historically Ben Affleck feels like he's like a beard for hire. Like he could be, you know? Look at his like relationship history in like Hollywood and stuff.
I just think he gets with some of the hottest people I've ever seen in my life. Ana de Armas or whatever. Yeah. He was getting it in with her for a minute.
But the thing is that you look at his
sad boy, he's got his fuck game on. That's what I'm saying.
My point is like look at his rise and his history, and you go, okay, you know, he was the whole I mean, I don't know. Maybe to me, the first thing that kind of his prevalence was like being related to like the Venus universe, the Kevin Smith world, right? And then
that's right.
And then being like, you know, the buddy stuff with Matt Damon. And then as Matt Damon transitioned into being more serious and like, you know, mainstream and blah, 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 like it was like, oh, Ben's got all this other, oh yeah, that's when like Ben started to like seem to drift from like Hollywood, like, you know, B to C A-list celebrity around here and there. But like women that have like a certain vibe, I'll say, that is not necessarily like, you know, your stereotypical whatever. There's like rumblings to them to where I just go like, like I said, I'm putting on major conspiracy theory hat, but I could definitely see that, like, if you look at the history at the beginning of Ben Affleck, he's kind of like, Ben Affleck is a guy's guy, if you will. The kind of dude who'd rather just hang out with the boys. You know, that's like the Venus universe is like a lot of dudes who are like, ah, man, chicks, right? They all fucking suck. You know, wouldn't it be cool if like, instead of chicks, we could just like, we just hang out and we could like blow each other. We just hang out and like we didn't need women. You know, wouldn't that be great if we didn't need women? You see what I'm saying about Ben Affleck? And then like, oh, his number one, you know, writing partner and life partner, Matt Damon, and oh, these two handsome young men. But they just, you know, they just get each other. They really understand on a deep level, and they just like to spend a lot of time together. And then he just slowly becomes more miserable and more depressed as he marries, as you said, increasingly beautiful women. This guy just seems to date and marry and be with some of the most attractive women in all of Hollywood, but for some reason he's just never happy. And you get what I'm saying? You pick up what I'm putting down?
I got what you're saying. I always read it more, and I guess this is the more boring answer, but the more boring, he's not necessarily a closeted gay man answer. He's been to the fucking top of the mountain. He's gone as high as any man can go. He's fucked Ana de Armas. And like once you've gone there, it's just like life looks pretty fucking meaningless after that.
Sure.
It's like I got nowhere left to go, except I'll just keep fucking other beautiful women.
Take side steps.
Joylessly like chasing after this whatever, and you know he's got like a pretty serious drinking problem or whatever from what I gather and all that stuff. But maybe he's just dealing with his latent gayness.
Well, here's the thing about it is why, because I would never really pick this up until right now, is that like I said, it feels like Kennedy thing is being manufactured by a PR team, and it just feels like he would be willing to be paid to do this because it's not. I don't
think they would necessarily have to pay him. They would just like if
there was
some
you know, there's a quid pro quo
thing.
Yeah,
there could be a conspiratorial thing where it's like her handlers or whatever are like, you got to go hang out at this bar where Affleck likes to get shit-faced.
Sure.
And then, like, flirt with him or whatever.
Right, but you get my point. It could be quid pro quo. It could be as just like fucking mercantile.
Well, what is he doesn't need money. I mean,
well, he to keep him relevant, to keep him famous, blah blah blah. He could need money. Who knows? People need money.
I'm a little bit of an Affleck defender. He's a talented guy. He's pretty good at what he does.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know.
He could be transactional.
Maybe he's just gay.
Yeah, maybe he's just
straight
gay.
For pay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you get my point. I could definitely my idea would just be the fact that like a guy like that just getting involved in this out of nowhere. Just I could definitely see it being transactional in some way.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting that's like you said, getting into a little bit of tinfoil hat territory, but that's good. We
like that.
I'm all for it. But Steve Bannon is
there we
in
go.
jail.
Now let's talk about some real Machiavellian shit. This guy, yeah.
He's in not minimum security, but it's called like I forget the word that's used, but it's like I don't know, it's like lesser security or something. And my point is he's in like a pretty like cushy type prison. So the headline here, though, I should have read this first, is Rudy Giuliani says Steve Bannon is being tortured in prison. he was doing Rudy Giuliani, who also should be going to prison soon, I believe. Hopefully, because fuck that guy forever. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani was doing an interview with Mike Lindell. That's the other funny part. Mike Pillow doing anything is just funny. So Mike Pillow was interviewing Giuliani, and Giuliani said that Bannon is being unfairly treated while he serves his 4-month sentence at the Federal Correction Institute in Danbury, Connecticut for defying a congressional subpoena. Didn't they fucking like arrest him on a yacht or something? I thought there was some funny shit like that where he was like evading the law by like he's like a dumb kid who's like believes like the international waters like myth or whatever. You can't touch me, coppers. I'm on a yacht. Anyway, he goes on to say, Bannon unfortunately can't hear this broadcast, which is an outrage, Giuliani said. I ran the Bureau of Prisons in 2 capacities. First, I was absolutely in charge of it as the Associate Attorney General for 2 years under Ronald Reagan. And then I was the Chief of Staff of the guy who was in charge of it under Gerald Ford. I do not remember prisoners of his category not having access to television for occasional shows, special shows. Steve Bannon is not being treated the way other prisoners are being treated. His case has been moved from the Bureau of Prisons to crooked Attorney General Garland's office. And they're calling the shots because contacts that I have in the Bureau of Prisons have told me they've been taken out of the case. He's being, let's say, tortured, ellipses. This election is about a fascist regime, and Steve Bannon is a prime #1 victim. It's absolute insane bullshit.
That is so good.
Rudy Giuliani. Speaking of Ben Affleck's drinking issues, fucking Giuliani's braid is just melted from scotch at this point. That was the other thing I got to thinking about Bannon being in prison. I was like, man, he must be like having the DTs like a motherfucker. And I was like, immediately like, oh no, he's a rich guy. He's probably getting whatever he wants in the clink, But Steve Bannon famously huge drunk and cokehead. So anyway, there was some commentary that's just obvious about what Giuliani said, but like. Yeah, I love the idea of like to an American, like not having TV constitutes torture.
It's cruel and unusual.
And it's like it's not even he doesn't have access to TV. Period. He's like but he can't watch TV whenever he feels like it.
What the fuck?
He's being tortured. He's being, let's say, I love the hedging the bets. He's being, let's say, tortured.
Tortured.
It just, no TV and his
no video games for a whole weekend.
His little treaty treats like handles of scotch and an 8-ball per diem. It's just unimaginable suffering weep for this hero, Mr. Bannon. He's a political prisoner. We got to free Steve
him.
Bannon.
Free him.
And then, I don't know. Of course, I can't keep this subject lighthearted because, of course, it just makes me think of like actual torture going on in the world too, and it makes it all the more egregious and fucking galling that morons like Giuliani exist and say shit like this. But anyway, try to get through some of this other stuff at a brisk pace here. I know there's a bit. Looks like a lot. Oh, right. We got to talk about this one. We're all settler colonialists now. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal, so you know it's going to be a good one. And it's an opinion piece, so you really know it's going to be a good one. And it's very short enough to where I think I could just read the whole thing. It's like 2 paragraphs. I thought it was going to be way long. I thought it was going to be like this long, like tortured reasoning, like argument, but it's actually good that it's just to the point in its stupidity. I mean, just the title alone, but we're all settler colonialists now. Subheader: what acre of livable land on this earth is occupied by people who didn't, or whose ancestors didn't, take it by force?
Right.
Oh boy.
Okay, so this is a person who's like realizing the anti-libertarian take that fucking Sam Cedar has been making for like a decade at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
And what irritates me about this article, on top of its content, is that it's not attributed to anybody. There's no fucking name on it.
I hate like that shit.
An anonymous fucking vile opinion piece. I'm sure it's because they're so proud of it.
Of course.
They, whoever they are, go on to say, for the proponents of the ideology of settler colonialism, I have one question. This is just the fucking header again. What acre of livable land on this earth is occupied by people who didn't, or whose ancestors didn't, take it by force from previous settlers? The answer is none. Since the first modern humans burst out of Africa to exterminate the Neanderthals in Europe and the Denisovian hominids in Asia, waves of humans have been seizing land from prior settlers. Why doesn't this motherfucker just go back to like the emergence of multicellular life? He might as well like just go rewind all the way back. Man, we've been colonizing shit since we were single cellular organisms. There was no tribe in America that hadn't seized its, quote, native land from some other tribe in the preceding decades or centuries before the Europeans arrived, except, of course, the first humans to enter the Americas. So to those bent on decolonization, one must ask, exactly how far back do you want to rewind the chain of settler colonialists? Well, I told you already, motherfucker, single-cell organisms. So that's just, like, pretty stupid on its face. I don't even know what kind of discussion there is to have about that. It's just, like, the thing it made me think of was those, like, when the new atheism was, like, in all the rage or whatever, and there were like T-shirts that had like the slanted red A or whatever, and it said the T-shirt would say like "We're all Africans," and it was just a way of being like evolution is real, man. Take that, preacher man. I mean, I guess I kind of understand the necessity when people are like trying to push intelligent design shit or whatever, but like it's still so cringy to think about. Like, yes, we all. Humans come from Africa. That's right. I don't know. I guess I don't have anything else to say about it besides that. I just thought it was worth like mentioning because it's just such an absurd little opinion piece, uncredited to anybody.
That shit drives me
I did
crazy.
mention that the comments were off the chain, but I don't know if I should even get into those. They're just most of the people in the comments are like just backing up what the article says, and they sound like morons as you would imagine.
Right.
But they're all like, of course, like trying to like intellectualize it and sound like fucking professors and shit. All right, I'm just trying to like prioritize some of this shit. This is again a kind of a follow up. There was that masked IDF admitted rapist, the guy. the prison guard who I mentioned was on like a mainstream TV show in Israel. He's now like a fucking star, and he did a video where he dramatically took off his mask because, you know, he has so much support in Israel that he can just like not be anonymous anymore. And he's just like going on TV like every other day now. It's fucking a deranged nation, as I've said many times, I guess. But and there was a heartening opinion poll that came out, which concluded that 65% of Israeli Jews oppose criminal prosecution of soldiers suspected of raping Palestinian detainees. Cool.
That sounds good. Yeah, I heard something that was like anecdotal, but like people just, you know, they didn't do the stats or whatever. There was like 100% of people that were like detained by Israeli forces were raped. Like that was what they're saying. Like they just, or sexually assaulted. They said like there was not, to a man, there was no one that was detained by Israeli forces that did not like report at least some form of sexual assault. Even if that's just like groping or, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, they love it for some reason. You know, that's an old school anti-Semitic trope. You know, we talked about it. Like they used to be good at basketball and they'd fuck all the women. Like the old school anti-Semitic trope was that they were lascivious, that they were very like sexually aggressive and forward. So I don't know, maybe that's like part of, you know, the thing, but at the same time, they treat Palestinian people as if they're not people. So you can definitely see that they just like, who cares, whatever, just grab them wherever, do whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like if you were, you know, harnessing chattel. Like if you have fucking cows, you don't really care if you accidentally fucking grab one of their udders or, you know, slip a digit in a hole and like whatever, you know? You get my point though, right?
Yeah. It's so much worse than that, but I got you. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm just going to say some of the shit that I can't unread, but like, they're like raping people with the muzzles of fucking guns and shit. Like and like tasers and stuff. It's insane. There's this huge study that came out like probably a couple of weeks ago now that was literally called Welcome to Hell. But this was like an academic study, and it was put out by an Israeli human rights group. So you can't even like come at this with it's fucking Hamas propaganda, whatever. This was an Israeli human rights group put this study out, and it's just filled to the fucking brim of just rape and torture at these detention centers. And what's more is like Israel has a problem not just with the subhumans that they assault and rape, but with fellow Jews. Like the IDF is like infamous for like how much fucking rape happens and how much like coercive sex otherwise happens, that like a lot of these, like, you know, they like parade like the fucking hot girl soldiers all the time around and like photo ops and shit. But like there's at least like the stuff I read is maybe anecdotal too, but like there's a general sense of women being just like terrified to go into the IDF because they know the reputation, they know what's going to happen. It's very bad. It's very not magnificent and tremendous.
Yeah,
it's a deranged place, and you know, they can't even leave sporting events alone. There was a football match where Israel was playing. Some Israeli team was playing. It doesn't matter where it was. Giant, like handmade but gigantic signs, like held up by like, I don't know. It looks like it would take like 20 people to hold up this sign in the stands, written in Hebrew, translated to "An Israeli child is more important than a Gazan child." At a fucking football match, a soccer game. It's like, it's the great, you know, Krusty the Clown. It moved me to a bigger house. Oh, said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet.
How can you vote for Burns' movie?
Let's just say it moved me to a bigger house. Oops, I said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet.
Like, it's just so fucking insane. Like, I don't understand. It's like, maybe it's, I don't even think it's like thought out this much, but like just for my brain to almost try to make sense of this deranged group of people, like maybe the tactic is to just overwhelm with insane shit like this to where you like don't even know what to fucking point at and focus on anymore, which is like why I like end up like having these like long lists of fucking articles every week because there's just every week there's so much fucking shit like this that comes out. Like I don't even get to like a fraction of it on the show really either. Anyway, maybe final bummer news on this on Israel is polio, as I've mentioned. Polio, the first confirmed case of polio has paralyzed a 10-month-old baby, and Israel is saying that they're gonna supply like I don't know, like 1.5 million polio vaccines, and some fucking like propagandist for Israel tweeted or whatever, fucking wrote somewhere, I forget where, I don't have it right in front of me, but they wrote basically, oh, we're pretty bad at doing genocide, huh? Like, look, we're trying to save these people from the polio that our fucking genocidal insanity has made emerge in this place that doesn't have potable drinking water, and people are like fucking hip deep in sewage. And all I could think of is like the only reason they're even doing this, not even a PR thing. It's like they just don't want their soldiers to fucking get polio, bring it back to Israel. I think that's the only, because like what other explanation is there? Like you're killing all these thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people, if not more. You know, when the final fucking tally comes out, when the rubble's all fucking lifted, it's like, hey, we got to. You know what it reminds me of? I think it was in The Wire. I watched that a long time ago, but I think it was The Wire, where there's a scene where there's a guy who's like on death row. He's like about to be executed, and some other characters, like maybe it was Oz, whatever. It was one of those shows, and the one character is like trying to like stop the execution because they like want to kill him in a different way later or something. I wish I could remember it exactly, but like the characters literally said something like, I gotta stop this execution so I can kill his ass, or like just something totally, contradictory like that.
And many people will tell you that firing squads are barbaric. But in fact, it's a lot more humane than the electric chair. In any case, the protocol for a successful execution is proper lighting, proper distance. But you must prepare yourself for the emotional burden of actually pulling the trigger. And you should know that one of the rifles will carry blanks, so that none of you will ever know who actually fired the fatal shots.
Hello. He what? I'll be right down.
Patient's name is Donald Grove.
Let's put down an NG2, pump his stomach.
What happened?
Overdose.
Is he gonna live?
It's begin in 20 minutes.
Save him now. Did you strip search him? Yes. Why the fuck did he get pills in his cell?
I don't know.
Find out!
We're losing him. Start CPR.
Save that little prick.
What's the difference? He's scheduled to die tomorrow anyway.
Well, the law says that he has to be aware that he's being executed. He has to know why he's being executed. He has to be alive. So save him. Save his goddamn ass.
And that's the way I read this. Like, oh, we're gonna, and they haven't done it. They're just saying they might do it, but then to show that they're not serious about that either, they're refusing to. Actually, no, they have. I think they've tentatively agreed to cease the killing from the hours between 5 a.m. and I forget what it was, like 3 p.m. or something. Yes, from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. they'll stop killing people so that they can get the vaccinations out, and they're going to do that for a whole 3 days, man. It's pretty generous, if you ask me. And this, it hasn't happened, hasn't started, but this is what they claim they will do. But it's just like, it almost feels like it's just adding insult to injury in a way. It's like, yeah, here's some medicine, you fuck. Now here come the bombs. Like, it's so gross and fucked up. Just to close it out, Israel will collapse within a year if the war of attrition against Hamas and Hezbollah continues. And this was printed in Haaretz and written by an Israeli general who is definitely not an anti-Zionist and doesn't give a fuck about Palestinians. But even he is saying that, like, Israel is really going about all this shit the wrong way, and that, the country will be over within a year if they don't, like, right their wrongs or whatever. By which he mostly means kind of like, we'll oppress the Palestinians in a quieter way, little less, boom boom sounds. So it's also kind of deceptively not hopeful either. But I just just think about the headline when you're feeling down, and maybe it'll make you feel a little bit better. Because I think even though, like, the economy is, like, cratering apparently over there, like, and the U.S. mostly just, like, supplies Israel with weaponry, but they also just send them straight cash. So I'm sure Israel will be able to carry on indefinitely. So I don't know, but let's, fingers crossed on that promise from Yitzhak Brik, General.
It's Hawk Tua, is what I think you meant to say.
Yitzhak Tua Brik.
Yeah.
And very quickly, I'll just say the shit going on in France is hilarious right now.
Yeah.
They're just trying to edge out the left-wing party, which clearly, like, dominated the parliamentary elections and has, like, the majority now. But it's the center, the Macron center, and the outright Nazi party, Le Pen's bullshit. They're like, we gotta unite against these lefties is essentially what it is, to really summarize it. But it's just like, it's totally delusional. Like, Macron is just being like, they didn't actually win the election. He's just like, look over there, don't look at this. It's really absurd. But that's pretty much all that is. So I think you could probably close it up there, unless you got any more tinfoil hat theories.
No, that's it.
I got a quick recommendation. It's some music. It's a little group called Boards of Canada. They're an electronic duo, but they have a very distinct, cool style. If you rewind to my intro to this episode, I was just reading a description of their music sound, so you could go back and check that out. So I don't have to say it all again. But Do you listen to them at all?
I have. I am a big fan of Boards of Canada, and this is maybe going too deep, but who fucking cares? Pretty much exclusively for, like, maybe the first 5 years of my relationship with my current wife, my current and hopefully only wife.
My current wife.
We only fucked to Boards of Canada. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Boards of Canada.
You know, when I recommended Portishead the other episode, whatever that was, and I was gonna mention that was like the makeout session, like high school makeout session music from my youth, similar kind of thing. Fucking too. I've had sex before.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of tasting that, desiring and that in that thrill.
Now when I listen to Portishead and I remember that, it's so cringy and embarrassing. Your fuck soundtrack is, like, holds up.
Right.
But I mean, Portishead is good. Like I said, I recommended them, but there's something funny about, like, let's put on the Portishead record and fool around, baby.
Yeah.
Anyway, Boards of Canada is great. I know like their 3 kind of first albums are all like pretty much perfect. I never listened to the one that came out like way later, which now is actually a long time ago, but like 2013 they released another album I never got around to, but I'm sure it's good. Anyway, they're cool. They're Scottish, whatever. They're not Canadian. They named themselves after the National Film Board of Canada because they like to watch like old grainy 70s documentaries put out by said Board of Canada. Fun fact.
I will recommend Industry. Have you heard of the show The Industry? They're in the 3rd season.
I've only
now.
heard
It's
about
new.
it from you briefly. I don't know what it's about.
It's good. I wasn't sure if I liked it. We watched the first 2 seasons. The 3rd season is like ongoing. It's good. I would definitely recommend watching it. It's about like finance trading people, like people who work at like a major, it's a made up major finance trading company, and like goes through everything. But then now we've like settled in to the 3rd season where it's like become very clear that the point of the entire show was sometimes you have to kill your dad. And the whole point of the show is trying to kill your dad. And that is what it's getting into, and I like it. I like a show that's about killing your dad. So,
Father, yes, son, I want to kill you.
Well, then season 4 will be about fucking your mom.
Right. Well, they've already been doing fucking your mom a ton. That's the thing that's made it confusing.
right.
It's like, they get into the decadence. They do a bunch of coke. They fuck their moms. They do all this. But it's like, oh, no, when we really get into it, it doesn't matter. All that other stuff doesn't matter. The main thing you gotta do is no matter what, you can do everything else. You can master and command the entire world. You can fuck all the moms that you've ever seen, but you have to kill your dad. Because no matter what, he's always there. He's always hanging over your head, and he's making shit hard for you because you have to deal with the fact that, like, there's this one guy who makes you feel like you can never be the pinnacle because you got the guy above you, right? It's God, it's your dad, it's Jesus, it's whatever. But at some point you gotta kill him so that you're the number one, you're the top dog, you don't have competition anymore. That's the only way that you can relax. And then once you do that, then you relax, guess what? Sun's coming up and now he's trying to kill you. What the fuck? How could this ever happen to me? How could this happen to me? I was the son who did the dad kill. And now I've got sons coming? What the? No! Yeah, that's it. That's the ultimate answer to everything is you gotta kill your dad. And it's a good show. I would definitely recommend watching it from the beginning. Don't try to pop in. This is the thing for, people listen to me. Tim, what's the meaning to life? Tim, how do we do it? The main answer to it when you're asking me is you can't pop in. You gotta go from the beginning till the end. You can't just decide, now I'm this guy. You gotta be the guy from the start. You gotta get there. You gotta take the journey. That's it. That's my recommendation. Taking the journey is my recommendation.
Starting from the very beginning, the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Because we're all settler colonialists now. Yeah, Freud was right. Jim Morrison was right. Gotta kill the father. Fuck the mother.
That's the only answer.
So, join our Discord. Discord is it's still more active these days, which is cool. And and I think, as I said already in another episode, it's not a complete echo chamber.
Oh,
we've got
dissenting opinions.
Disagreements and whatnots.
We like that.
But yeah,
I like it.
It's good
because me and you don't agree on everything. That's it's the duality of the podcast. It should exist in the Discord as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's a reflection of the real, of the now. And check out the show notes to find that Discord link and all the other shit, and maybe take the time to rate, review, subscribe stuff. I don't know.
Would it kill you
or whatever?
Would it kill you for your mother
Apparently that stuff matters. It can help whatever boost our profile. You know, the most like proud I actually, that's a total exaggeration, but I was slightly pleased to see, if you like this podcast about ours, you'll like, and Truidon was the first thing that came up. Yeah. I was like, yes. It's a low bar, but you know, whatever, I'll take it. Tim, you've got another podcast. What's that about?
It's about wrestling. Primarily, we talk about wrestling on the other podcast, and you could find that podcast on Violent People. You can find it at violent_people on Twitter. You can find it at the website, violentpeople.co. That's it, really. You can find everything else there. Everything you need to know will be there.
Yeah, give us an x.com follow too. It doesn't hurt. You know, maybe someday we'll have more followers than followees. But I also like really too easily follow everybody back. So that's the heat death guarantee, I guess. Unless you really suck, then I won't follow you back. But anyway.
But hey, if you don't get that instant follow back, like, reassess, better yourself. You know? Yeah,
exactly.
What's wrong with me?
Do better.
Why am I bad?
Do better, sweetie. Smile, sweetie.
Why don't people want to follow me? What's bad about me? Yeah. It's a good barometer. Follow the Twitter account.
Reflect on yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah. It's a good test. Follow the Heat Death of the Universe podcast Twitter, which is at heatdeathpod at x.com. And from there, if you get an instant follow back, good. My soul weighs less than a feather. I'm instantly accepted into heaven. Great. If it doesn't, then again, step back, question yourself, better yourself. Be like, hey, what do I need to do? Obviously, don't unfollow. And in fact, if you do not get instantly followed, write a review. Give 5 stars on Apple Podcast. You know,
yeah, we may just be negging you a bit, you know. Well, so you gotta work at it.
It's not about negging, right? We deserve the review either way, right? Of course, sure, yeah. If you get the instant follow back, you should also give the review 5 stars. Heat death impregnated me, and our child is growing well and strong. It's very strapping. You know, that's the kind of review I want to see. But either way, I love you guys. Bye.
And as Rudy 9/11 was personally awesome for me, Giuliani always says, I define, let's say, torture as not being able to watch TV. And like my good friend and fellow 9/11 enjoyer George W. Bush once said, right after embracing Michelle Obama in an adorable, cuddly hug, then playing a round of golf, I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorists. Thank you. Now watch this drive. Booyah! There we go. All right, now, see you at church. Good night, good luck. Good morning, Vietnam.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?